Hello and welcome, it's the Crocheteer here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet an octopus. This is a very simple pattern and is great for beginners and makes a very cute octopus. And so let's get started. I'm going to be making my octopus green, but you can make it whatever colour you like. So here's the green wool. We're going to be using a 3.5mm crochet hook. You'll need a pair of scissors, and you'll need a very small amount of black wool for the eyes. So, to start off, just going to get some green wool, and we are going to do a slip knot, and now we're going to do 2 chains. Now we're going to do 6 single crochets into the first chain. And now there we have the 6 single crochets. Now we're going to do an increase stitch into each of these single crochets. So we're going to increase 6 times. So a reminder on how to increase. We're going to insert our hook into our first stitch. We're going to do a normal single crochet, and then we're going to do another single crochet, making that one original single crochet into 2. That means you should now have 7 stitches. So we're going to do 5 more increases. Now you should have 12 stitches in total. So, now we're going to increase every other stitch. So, we're going to do 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do a single crochet into the next stitch, and then another single crochet into this same stitch. So we're doing 1 single crochet and then an increase in the next stitch. We'll do that another 5 times till it brings us back to the beginning of our row. Now you should have 18 stitches around the circle. So, that is the top of the octopus done. Now we're going to single crochet 6 rows. So I'm going to get a bit of string of a different colour. Here I have some navy blue string, and I'm just going to put that underneath my wool around that stitch. that will mark that that's the beginning of my row, meaning I don't have to count. You don't have to do this, but it does save a lot of work. And there's my first row, so now I'm going to get my string which is marking it, and I'm going to put this bit of string coming out on the front over and round to the back. If you haven't at this point turned it inside out, then I suggest you do, because if you don't turn the wool inside out it will look like this, which looks quite messy. So turn it inside out and you get a much neater look. So now going to do the second row. There's my second row. And there we have our 6 rows complete. So now we can see we've made the nice dome shape of the head. So now we're going to start to decrease to fill in the bottom. Once we've decreased a little bit, we'll stuff it, and then we'll finish decreasing it before we move on to the legs. So you can now remove the marking stitch. And so what we're going to do is we're going to decrease, but only in half of the stitch. So we're going to insert our hook into the inside half of the stitch. You can see one half is still out, and that's going to leave a ridge for us to use later. You're then going to pull the wool through, insert the hook into the next half of a stitch, pull the wool through, and then pull the wool through both. That is a decrease stitch. Now we're going to single crochet into just one half of the next stitch, and we're going to repeat what we just did 5 more times. So we're going to decrease in the inside half, and then do a single crochet. Now I'm going to decrease on the inside half and do a single crochet. Going to do another decrease on the inside, single crochet, a decrease and a single crochet, and then our last decrease, still only using the inside half, and a single crochet. And there you can see it brings it to a flat surface very sharply. Now we're going to stuff the body. So you're going to want to grab some stuffing. Make sure it's nice and fluffy, nice and loose, there's no lumps. And then just push it into the octopus's body. There we go. So now we're going to carry on with the crochet. So now we're going to decrease 6 times, and we're going to use the full stitch. So we just insert our hook normally, and do a decrease. So that's 1 out of 6. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6th. Now we're going to cut the wool with a decent amount, but not too much. We're just going to sew up that small hole with it. So it's about a bit longer than my finger. Then we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch and just pull the wool all the way through. And to sew it, we're simply going to go across the hole. So it's simply sewing this hole closed. You don't have to do this, it's not essential. But if you're giving it to someone, or you want it just to be done nice and properly, then I advise you do sew it up. And now, with the bottom sewn, just going to pull this wool into the body to get rid of it. You can cut it beforehand and probably make it easier. And there we have our octopus body. So now we've got to add 6 legs. We've got to make this ridge a little more sharp, which we'll do at the end, and give it some eyes. So the legs is a process which we can repeat, but essentially, because we're going to have 6, we're going to start with a leg here, and then the next leg you will want to make opposite that. Then you will want to space the next 2 on this side evenly, and then again evenly on that side. I'm only going to show how to make the leg once, and then you can repeat. So just make sure you start by doing 1, and then you do the second one opposite, which allows you to then make sure they're nice and evenly spaced. So to make the leg, we're going to insert your hook, whether that be for the first time, for the second time when you go opposite, or for any of the other times where you're simply filling in the other spaces. I'm going to insert your hook in between. Remember, we did 2 rows on the bottom. You're going to put it in between those 2 rows, just picking up 1 loop there. Now we're going to grab our green wool once again, or whatever colour you chose, and we're going to pull a loop of wool through. Now make sure you leave a little bit on that end, don't make it too short. Now we're going to chain 13 chains. You'll want to make these chains quite loose. If you're a tight crocheter, which I generally am, you need to make sure that they are loose enough, because we're going to have a lot of stitches in these. Now, how we're going to make it twirl like an octopus leg is we're going to do 4 single crochets into each chain. So we're basically increasing a lot of times in each chain, and that means that there's too many stitches for the chain and it swirls. So we're going to insert our hook into the chain second from our hook. We're going to do our first single crochet. Now we're going to do another single crochet in that same hole, and then another and another. That leaves us with 4 single crochets in that one hole. Now we're going to go into the next chain and do another 4 single crochets into this chain, and you can see it turning already. So now you're going to repeat that for the next 10 chains. There we go. Now we have single crocheted 4 single crochets into each of our 12 chains. Just make the leg all swirly. And now we are going to do a slip stitch back into the same hole we started in. So we're just going to insert our hook, pull our loop through, there's a slip stitch, and then we're going to cut the wool and pull it through. And there is one complete leg. So I will now insert the time from where you'll go back to do the other 5 legs, and if you've done them already, well done. If you haven't, I look forward to seeing you. So, now you've completed all 6 of the legs, we're going to move on to the ridge that we left. So if you just take all of the legs, compress them downwards, makes it look like a jellyfish. Octopus, jellyfish, same thing really. They're not, I know they're not. Very different. As a huge animal lover, I do know that they are different. So, we're going to find where the ridge does not meet. So that is here for me. You see the ridge runs nice and smoothly, and then it jolts here. So we're going to go a few stitches ahead of that, maybe 3 or 4. So here's my first ridge, then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go into the 4th stitch. So just insert your hook. You want to be going from the head down towards the legs. So, using our green wool, we're going to pull a loop through. Now, we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch and pull the wool through both loops. That is a slip stitch. So now we're going to slip stitch around the edge of the octopus's body. And now we're coming up to the end of the row which we did the half stitches on. So back when I described it as a jolt in the stitches, I'm just going to refer to it as the jolt from now on. It's a very technical term. So when you reach it, we're going to do 1 chain. So I have just reached where my half rows does not carry on anymore and it jolts down to this bit here. So I'm just going to do 1 chain to carry me across the gap. Then I'm going to insert my hook back into where the beginning of the half stitches began and carry on slip stitching. And here is my last slip stitch until I'm going to slip stitch back into the first stitch. So that's into the one we originally pulled the loop through. And now we have a nice flat finish to our octopus. So we're going to cut the wool. Again, you don't have to cut it long. Pull the wool through, and then I am going to tie, here's the original bit of wool, I'm just going to tie these together to make sure nothing comes loose. So I'm going to tie it twice, and that should secure it, and then pull it into the body. And there we go. So if you've made it this far, well done, because we're almost done. So, all we have left to do is the eyes. Now, eyes can be done in however you like. I know there's lots of different ways to make eyes. I'm going to do a very simple way. I get some wool, maybe about 2 finger lengths of wool. And then I'm going to find where I want my eyes to be. So I want my eyes on the front. Now I'm going to call the back where the jolt was. So I'm then going to go over the top and to the other side. So that's about here, being the front. So then I want them evenly spaced, and I'm going to go on this row, which is the 3rd row of the 6 rows we did. Going to insert my hook. Now, big eyes are always cute, so I'm going to put my hook up 2 rows. Now, I'm going to pull the black wool through. And now I'm just going to wrap it around that hole a few times. The more times you wrap it, the bigger the eye gets. And I don't want to specify because sometimes once you've wrapped it, say I was to wrap it 6 times around this eye. Then when I go to wrap my second eye, the wool might lie in a way that makes it look larger. And if it looks larger, then I'll wrap it less times. So anyway, I'm going to do 4 wraps for this eye. Now I'm going to pull my black wool across to where I want my other eye to go. And I'm going to wrap it. So as I say, I did 4 wraps last time, so I'm going to hope that I do 4 this time, and they look the same. I have a feeling it's going to be demonstrated though. You see, those eyes to me look pretty much the same, and I've only done 3. I'm going to do another one just so that I can say they're the same, but it's, you know, you've just got to see it and make sure it looks right. Though actually they do look pretty even now. So, I'm going to cut that wool nice and short and pull it into the body. If you want to embroider a mouth or some ruby cheeks or some hair, you know, do what you want with this octopus, but I'm going to end the tutorial here. You can customize it however you like. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more free and easy patterns just like this. Thanks for watching.